Okay, welcome you guys. I'm seeing we're all starting to file in. Welcome. I'm used to in the program we have the calls are like I can see people's faces. And so it's always I always miss seeing faces when we have like a webinar format like this where I don't get to see you all. Um, in case you want to come and join us in the program, the where we do coaching calls multiple times a week. You don't have to show your face, but a lot of people are keep their cameras off. But I like being able to see faces, and right now all I see is just a number at the bottom of the screen. So let's open up the Q&A and make sure you guys all go in the Q&A and just say hi. Tell me, hey, tell me where you're tuning in from. And then that way I also know that the Q&A is working. So click on the Q&A and I want you all to say hi and tell me where you're from. Please, please, please. Still waiting for something to pop in. So someone go ahead and say, hey, make sure so that you can so I even know if you're hearing me. Okay, good. All right. Okay, we've got Brendan joining in. Awesome. And Steve, hello, welcome. We've got an anonymous attendee. Welcome from Madison. We've got Michael from Tampa, Blair from Utah, or Blaine, excuse me, Jacob and Claude, excuse me. Awesome. Welcome. Claude from Canada. I love Canada. One of my, one of the people I work with is from Canada, and I love Canada, man. It's great up there. Okay, John, we've got John from New Jersey. Welcome. Okay, welcome, you guys. If you haven't yet, go ahead and put in your name into the Q&A. Tell me where you're from, and let's dive into our class today. I'm so excited about this one. This is so fun for me just to get to teach. And today we're going to talk about how healing shame can streamline your journey to quit porn. Awesome. Okay, awesome, Michael. Hey, Ford. Hey, thanks you guys for putting in the Q&A so I know that you can hear me and know that you're here. So awesome to have you. Okay, let's dive in. The Q&A is where you're going to be putting your questions tonight. And so if you have any questions that pop up, go ahead and let me stop for a minute just to make sure we're recording. Okay, we're recording. And I've turned on a live transcription. Hopefully that isn't too disruptive, but it seems to be helpful for a lot of people. So let's click the share screen again. And let's dive in. So Q&A, that's where you're going to ask any questions that you have in the Q&A. All right, how healing shame can streamline your journey to quit porn. So I like to start off my classes with this little snippet. So if you've been to some of them before, you've seen this before, but it's so vital. Number one, your porn use does not make you any less worthy as a person or less worthy of a happy, fulfilling, beautiful life. It doesn't. It's not your fault that you haven't been able to quit. It might not be your fault. You might have been taught harmful rhetoric around sex and porn, and this might have made the struggle worse. If you've been trying to quit porn for years but keep relapsing, it's not because you're weak or lack willpower. It's because you've been given the wrong tools. And I hope you're starting to really understand what that means as you've been in the free program and been listening to me, my materials. So hi, I'm Sarah Brewer. For those of you who don't know me, is anyone here brand new, like you're not really sure who I am? Let me know in the Q&A. Just be curious to hear from you if you're super brand new. I've helped thousands of people quit porn through my paid programs and have over 1.5 million downloads on my podcast, Overcome Pornography for Good. We help you do this in a shame-free, sex-positive way, no willpower, healing the root for easy, long-lasting change. We hear over and over and over again, this has changed my life. I've tried everything, and this is the only thing that's worked. Okay, so yeah, we've got a couple of first timers and a couple of you who've listened to the podcast for a little while. So you might have heard one of you is saying relatively brand new. Let me know if you've heard this. I've been listening to the podcast, but last week was my first meeting, just joined your free program. Yay, so glad you're here. So glad you're here. You might have heard, actually, am I gonna go in here? Yeah, we'll touch on this really quick. You might have heard these things. Let me know if this resonates with you. To quit porn, you just need more accountability. Just replace it with something else. Just be stronger. Let me remind you how evil porn is for the world. Use filters. Quit cold turkey, pray more, sexual thoughts are bad, right? All these things that people try to use to help you quit porn and they don't actually work. These are Band-Aid solutions. And so 12-step programs, addiction recovery, Sexaholics Anonymous, filters, willpower do not work, do not show to be effective long-term for most people. And so if that's you, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you've been trying to, it's like you've been trying to fix the refrigerator with the manual for the microwave. You've just been given wrong information that doesn't apply to you in your situation. Okay. So what's the real problem? The real problem, and do I have another picture? Excuse me, I'm a little sick. And so, when you're sick and like you talk and it gets kind of stuck, that's what's going on a little bit for me tonight. So I might have to stop and drink a little water here and there. Ah, the real problem is that we have to look under the surface and to heal what's underneath the surface. And so I wish I had a picture up here. I used to have one of like a weed, and when you're weeding, and if you just pull the weed off like at the top at the dirt, and then it's going to grow back because you didn't pull it up by its root. That's what we need to do instead. Instead of these Band-Aid solutions, we need to heal from the root and like pull this up from the root. Or this picture of the iceberg is a really great one too, is we need to, it's really not about porn. Your porn habit is not about porn. Your unwanted porn use is not about porn. It's not about like you're just like sex too much or you just like porn too much. There's a lot of stuff going on underneath the surface. And so that's what we want to look at. And that's, the goal with all the work and all the programs that we do is helping you individually discover what that is and heal that. And then guess what? The unwanted porn use goes away. And then guess what? It's not a problem for the rest of your life. And it's not something that you're worried about and struggling with. And, our clients see so much success because we're doing this, because we're looking underneath the iceberg here and really solving what's going on. So it could be buffering. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Sexual shame, willpower repression, could be shame spirals, be over desire, like AKA witching hours. This is a typo, AKA. Or like compulsions that we need to work through. It could be loneliness, negative beliefs about yourself, fear, porn panic, shame, lack of education, fear, stress around intimacy. We are going to hit shame hard on the head tonight and really dive into this aspect of it all. And this shame piece, it really it tends to be underneath a lot of these under the iceberg issues. Okay, so let's dive into this. Concept number one, buffering and shame spirals. And again, remember our topic for the night is how healing shame can streamline your journey to quit porn. So number one, buffering and shame spirals. So first things first is porn is a buffer. Who here has heard that word? Who here has not heard that word? If you haven't heard me talk about buffers before, let me know in the Q&A. Just say, oh, yep, I'm new. I don't know the term buffer. One of you is saying yes. Okay, some of you have heard it. Yeah, let me know so that I understand kind of how much to go into buffering. But porn is a buffer. A buffer is any action that we take to escape negative emotion. So buffering can be all sorts of things. What do you do to escape negative emotion? Overeating, over drinking, scrolling social media, binging Netflix, over shopping, video games, and porn. Guess what? Unwanted porn use is often a buffer. It's a way that we escape negative emotion. Porn is often a way we escape feeling like garbage, except for what do we know about it? It doesn't work for long. It doesn't work for long. That's why you're here. And so what often happens is we get into these shame cycles, these shame spirals, where if we're starting up here on the top, you view porn, and then once you view porn, like all those thoughts and beliefs are coming into your mind about what you've been told about people who view porn, and you're thinking, there's something wrong with me. I'm gross. I'm dirty. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm a bad person. I'm, all these things. There's something wrong with me. That leads to feeling shame. When we feel shame, and we learn this from Brene Brown, the queen of vulnerability and shame, we hide and avoid. Feeling shame causes us to go and hide and avoid. So if you notice, maybe you're stuck in a shame spiral and then you're not talking to anyone, or you're avoiding other people and you just want to be alone and you just want to isolate. Maybe you don't want to pray if you're religious. You're going to hide and avoid God. And then what do we do when we're hiding and avoiding? Typically buffer with more porn. Now really think about this, you guys. If porn is a way that we escape negative emotion, and shame, oh, think about the emotion of shame. It is like the lowest of the low emotion that just feels awful. So if we use porn to escape negative emotion and we're stuck in shame, what are we going to do to escape shame? Probably buffer with more porn. And the spiral continues and continues and continues and continues. Okay, so shame creates more unwanted pornography use. A lot of people, programs, they use subtle shaming attempts to help you quit porn. They think, if I just make this person feel bad enough for what they're doing, they will quit. That doesn't work and often has the opposite effect. Okay, so once you heal shame, you can see big improvements quickly. And I see this all the time with my clients. And in fact, I just did another interview. We do success stories, what's possible interviews, and you'll hear me quote these throughout the class tonight, but we do them often. And I just did one last week with an awesome guy. And that was his big thing too. Again, is he's like, I just did some one-on-one coaching for 3 months, healed shame, and it's gone. What? And it's gone. Like, it's such a big thing, especially because for so many people, this is like the spiral that we get sucked into, is the shame cycle. And so once we can get rid of this, we can get rid of binging, and then we can get rid of viewing porn because we don't like ourselves. And then it's a lot easier to work through some of the other stuff. Okay, so here's a story of Dan. You can hear his story on episode 158. He was in his mid 50s, struggled for 4 decades, had a very difficult disclosure to his wife. And that's when he came and started working with us after this awful disclosure where his wife discovered him viewing porn. And he had a significant turnaround, even just after healing the shame. He said this part: living a secret life using willpower and talking negatively to myself with shame. I was not going to ever overcome porn doing that. This changed my life, just the way of looking at it, the way of thinking, everything. A shame-free and mindful practice changed everything for me. And mind you, too, this was a guy who he was a part of all of the church programs for his individual, I can't remember what church he was part of, but they have, all the churches have all the different things to help you with this. And he'd been a part of it for years and had tried all the things for years and kind of secretly, tried to fix this. And the shame-free mindful practice is what changed everything for him. I cannot think of a better investment of money, and really even a better investment of time. Concept number 2, let's dive into emotional fuel. Let's see, I'm gonna go here to the Q&A. If you have any questions about this, let me know. I'll be popping in here and there. And then we'll have like a longer Q&A at the end for anything that's come up for you, we can chat more in depth about. One of you is saying dogs who feel ashamed try to hide behind the couch. Right. It's like such a biological response to shame, is just like hide. Makes it worse. So concept number 2 is emotional fuel. I want you to think of your feelings like fuel for action. Let's give an example here. I want you to imagine running a marathon. Has anyone here run a marathon before? I have a lot of clients who have done like the Ironmans, and what are those, the big ultra marathons? Someone's raising your hand. Yeah, I have a bunch of clients who do the ultra marathons, and I would love for y'all to hear Koji's story. I interviewed him on the podcast too, but you can watch a video of his. He struggled with porn, and he thought to himself, if I can just learn how to run an Ironman, then my porn habit will go away. And he did it, and he became like a really great ultra marathon runner, and the porn habit didn't go away. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it makes sense, there were just other things we had to work through. But okay, anyways, back to this example: running a marathon off of only Coke Zero and Twizzlers and popcorn, right? Food that's not going to fuel your body. Imagine trying to run a marathon off of that fuel versus running a marathon off of protein, carbs, electrolytes, all those good foods that are going to fuel your body. You're going to be able to make it a lot further, a lot stronger, a lot faster with the right food rather than Coke Zero, Twizzlers, whatever. So I want you to think, if our emotions are our fuel, imagine trying to quit porn from a place of, I'm not good enough until I quit. This is too difficult, where the energy is fear and shame and inadequacy. I'm not good enough energy, versus trying to quit porn from a place of hope, commitment, belief, and worthiness. Which one is going to get you further? Which one's going to get you better results? This other fuel. Willpower and burnout happen when you take action without adequate fuel, without adequate feelings that are going to help you get where you want to be. And I do a whole other class on willpower. That's a whole other topic that you might have learned about a bit already in this free program you're in. But what was I going to say here? Oh yeah, willpower. So one reason we get stuck in willpower is because we're trying to take action, but the fuel behind our action doesn't quite line up. Here's some examples. Let's touch this first, and then we'll get to examples. Emotion here is key. You cannot keep sustained action with emotion that is bad fuel. So some more examples. Imagine trying to get into a good workout routine from a place of disgust versus a place of appreciation. A lot of people try to get into a good workout routine because they don't like their bodies and they want to change their bodies, and it's shamey, right? And typically burn out versus getting into a workout routine from a place of appreciation. And I'm not trying to, I just want to, right? I love this body. I want to fuel it. I want to take care of it. Not I'm disgusted in it. There's going to be a big difference in the results that you see. Imagine trying to study from a place of hopelessness, studying for a test from a place of hopelessness versus a place of hope. What's going to get you further? The place of hope. Being a parent and a spouse from a place of resentment versus boundaries and love. What's going to get you further and get you better results? The boundaries and love, not resentment. So changing your fuel, the fuel behind your actions, can create lasting change very, very quickly. And this is from my podcast episode with Cannon. He said, I'd struggled for like 8 or 9 years and I honestly wasn't really getting any closer. So to be completely free in a few months is way faster than anything I could ever find. And that was after his process of just changing the fuel that he was putting behind his actions. There's a lot of tools to learn to quit porn, like the mindfulness tools, the belief plan stuff, the emotions and buffering, but changing the fuel that you're using is going to be the most important thing and help you get where you want to go a lot quicker. Okay, concept number 3. Healing sexual shame equals no more compulsions for porn. All right, you guys, let me know if you have questions about this, because as I was putting these slides together, I was like, oh, I'm packing in a lot of information into this point, and so I hope I am clear enough. So if you have questions, let me know. But how do we decrease compulsions? For those of you who came to the last class I taught a couple of weeks ago, we went into this in depth. But here's the basic idea. We learned this from Pavlov and his dog. So basic psychology experiment. Pavlov had dogs, and he would ring a bell and give him a treat, and ring a bell and give him a treat, and ring a bell and give him a treat. And then what happened after a while is the dogs heard the bell and salivated just at the sound of the bell without even seeing the treat. They associated that sound of the bell with the treat, so they just would salivate. We have our own bells and triggers when it comes to pornography that create this response in us to just desire porn. So one great part of this experiment that we don't often hear is not only was Pavlov able to train his brains to salivate at the sound of the bell, but he was able to teach them how to stop salivating at the sound of the bell. And it's very simple, but hard in practice sometimes. All he did is he rang the bell and didn't give him the treat. Rang the bell and didn't give him the treat. Rang the bell and didn't give him the treat. And then eventually, after enough time, the dogs would hear the bell and not salivate at the sound of the bell because they were deconditioned to that response. Okay, does that make sense? So we can do the same things with our compulsions for pornography. Here are the key takeaways though. Number 1, you don't have to struggle with urges for porn forever. I know you've been taught that this is just something you have to struggle with forever. Sorry, you're always going to have compulsions for porn. Once an addict, always an addict is false. It's false, it's false, it's false. It's been proven over and over and over again in our program and in the research that we use to back up our program as well. So, and you can find that on our website if you're interested in reading more about that. So that's key number 1. Key number 2 is it's a mistake to focus on avoiding urges. What would happen if Pavlov just didn't ring the bell for 2 years? He would ring the bell and then the dogs would still salivate, even if it'd been 2 years since they heard the bell, because they would still associate that sound with the response. So a lot of what people try to do is they try to just avoid the urges. I'm not going to think about the urge. I'm not going to look at the urge. I'm going to avoid my phone. I'm going to avoid my computer, blockers, make it go away, make it away, make it go away. This is when you get stuck in that willpower react cycle. So instead, we want to focus on training the brain out of desire, which is hearing that bell and not getting the reward, instead of just avoiding urges at all costs. So that's a simple way to explain how this works. What keeps people from doing this? Number 1 is practice, because this skill of hearing the bell and not getting the reward, right? With our bodies, we're both the dog and the scientist. So we have to learn how to do this, and it's a skill. There's mindfulness skills that we really teach and work on in the program. So number 1, practice. But the second biggest thing that keeps people from doing this is sexual shame, which is not allowing themselves to hear the bell, not allowing themselves to have that urge in the first place. So That looks like, oh no, I'm having this urge. That's bad. I shouldn't feel this. I feel shame for having the urge in the first place. I have this compulsion, this desire, and I feel bad for it. How many of you have felt that before or notice yourself experiencing that? I want to hear in the Q&A. Let me know if that's resonating, the sexual shame piece. Okay, one of you is saying yes. Anyone else? Yep. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so this is a really key piece is we cannot, it's really, really difficult to go through this process while having sexual shame. So sexual shame looks like wanting porn is bad. This urge for pornography is bad. And stay with me, stay with me. If you're confused on this, just stay with me for a minute. What this does is it actually gives porn more power than it really has. A great example I love to use on this is demonizing sugar. And so thinking about someone who, imagine someone's like, oh no, wanting sugar is bad. I should not want sugar. I am a bad person for wanting sugar. I feel shame. There is something wrong with me because I want sugar. What's going to happen? Well, they're going to push away, push away, push away, and then probably go binge eat cake in the closet and then feel really bad about it afterwards and get stuck in like a binge cycle. Demonizing sugar gives the sugar much more power than it actually has. It's like when we demonize something, and we say that the experience or the wanting of it is bad, it actually makes it like bigger and more powerful than it really is. And so I know a lot of us get stuck on this with pornography. And I'm going to skip over here for just a minute and then we'll come back. But there's a difference between physiology versus morality. So physiology are normal, natural body responses. Sexual urges, hunger, tired, it's just the urge. Can't control it. We just want this, especially if you've subconsciously trained yourself to really, want a lot of porn or have compulsions for porn. It's not something you can control. It's just a physiological response that you trained your brain to do, like Pavlov's dogs. Morality is what we do with those responses based off of our value system. And so it's really important. I wish I could hold you all by the shoulders. It's really important that we do not, excuse me, do not mistake morality with physiological symptoms. It is not immoral to have an urge to want the porn. The morality is going to come with your value system based off of the actions with those responses. If you're hungry, right? Hunger is not a sin. Hunger is not bad, immoral. What you do with that hunger, you've got options. You can do a number of things. You can go grab some food. You can eat out of your fridge or you can eat your neighbor's food, right? There's a bunch of options there. Morality is what we do with those responses and if they're harming other people or not. Okay? So when we have sexual shame and the feelings around it is this is bad, push it away, what happens? It's like pushing a beach ball underwater. And when we push a beach ball underwater, what does it want to do? This is just me illustrating this idea again, coming back that when we demonize things and we push things away and push things down, it makes them stronger. When we hold that urge down, oh no, I shouldn't be thinking about it, I shouldn't want it, right? What happens? Just explodes. Same with any emotion. I have a very vivid and clear memory of just having a baby, and it was postpartum a couple of months, and oh, the postpartum is hard. I had so much emotion. And have you heard postpartum rage? It's like when you're just so mad at everything. And what would happen is I would start to feel this anger and I would push it away, push it away. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. And then it would just explode. It would explode. Okay, so we don't want to do that. When we push, that away, sexual shame, hold it down as a beach ball. Oh, no, I shouldn't be thinking this. It puts us into this willpower give-in pendulum, right? You can only hold it down for so long before you just explode and you give into it. So instead, what we need to do is we need to learn this new skill of allowing urges, which is hearing the bell and not getting the reward. Hearing the bell and not getting the reward. With anger, it's letting myself feel anger without yelling at people, without hurting people, allowing myself to experience the emotion so that it makes its way through my body without hurting others. And so it's the same with urges, allowing ourselves to experience and feel the urge without looking at the pornography. And so this allows us to rewrite neural pathways and decrease compulsions for porn, like Pavlov's dogs. Okay, do you guys have any questions about that before we move on to this last piece of how to heal shame? The moral side of it makes it hard to not demonize the urges. Yeah, and so that's again kind of back here. There's physiology, which are normal natural body responses, and morality. Morality is what you do with those responses. Morality is not the normal natural body, the urge itself. The urge itself is neutral. What we do with that is where morality comes into play. And there's a ton of things we could talk about that for 2 hours, and ways to think about that in a way that's going to help you and not just make you feel bad, and so much to go into there. But let's start here. Okay, you guys, let's go into our last step. And then we'll get into a Q&A. So I've got this last step, an invitation, and then we'll go into Q&A. Okay, so how to heal shame. Shame comes from deeply ingrained stories and traumas. So shame, you were not just born with shame. Shame comes from things that you were taught about yourself. And so a great exercise I always have my clients do is, what were you taught about sex and porn growing up? And, in your families, in your churches, in your communities, all these areas, what were you taught about sex and porn growing up? And then as we look at that, we can start to see how these ingrained stories, created our own shame stories and shame responses today. Okay, so your wounds are not your fault. Your shame stories are not your fault, but your wounds are your responsibility to heal. And, I always say this because I really want people to avoid falling into the trap of blaming themselves for being stuck in a shame spiral, or blaming themselves for feeling bad. It's just not helpful and not true. And when I say your responsibility, it's like, it's your responsibility because you are the only one who can make it happen. If you don't take this into your own power to heal these, it's not going to happen without you deciding to work through it, right? So worthiness wounds and these shame wounds are not a small nick that can just be healed with a Band-Aid. They typically take time, support, and more intensive care. And so I share this because I don't want you to feel bad if it's not working right away. If you find yourself falling into these shame stories often, or if it feels overwhelming and big, it's okay. It's not something that can just be healed with a little Band-Aid. It's typically like more of a wound that needs more time, support, and more intensive care. Okay, so don't be afraid of investing in help in this area with someone that you can trust. That piece is really important. With someone that you trust, with someone that you feel like is really going to be able to help you. It's worth researching and looking into investing in help here, because what can often happen, it's if you've got these deep gashes and these deep shame worthiness wounds, you're trying to heal it. It's like using a hand mirror to do surgery on yourself. It's difficult, it's hard, it's not very effective, versus having someone, who can really help you and see the things, go in and do the work with you and for you, and can be a lot more effective and a lot cleaner. So if you notice a broken bone, you go and you get professional help. What happens if you just wait around hoping that it heals yourself? Right? If you have a broken bone and just sit around hoping it heals itself, what happens? It doesn't heal itself, and sometimes it gets even worse. And so I bring this up because, especially for men, and a lot of you are men here, it's like there's some taboo against going and working through these deep emotional pains. If you think about going and getting help, sometimes there's taboo around it, or beliefs that you shouldn't have to, or beliefs that you should just be able to do it yourself. And if you can't, if you haven't been able to, you're normal. And that's most people. And there's nothing wrong with you. And I want us to think about this, like, just as seriously as we take these physical wounds, these emotional wounds are just as serious, if not more serious, because it creates so much more results in your life. Like, your wounding, it plays out in your relationships, it plays out in your in your work life, every single area of your life. It's very, very, very important to take them just as seriously as you might a physical wound. And I share this slide to let you know that when I say this, I mean it, and I've done this, and I walk the walk, right? So investing in my brain and changing my beliefs and this healing work has been the most valuable thing that I've ever done. I've spent over 37K in coach trainings, over 12K in trauma healing certifications. This is out of date too. This slide is a little bit out of date. It's a bit more than this too. And then every year I spend, 1,700 to 15,000 in different therapies and healings. And it's so important to me. And it's given me everything that I've wanted in life has been changing and healing this, which goes back to this slide. Change does not come from working harder. This is something I would love to change in this space too. A lot of people think, well, just to quit porn, I just have to work harder. I just have to be more intense, right? It's like running a marathon on a broken bone. Change comes from deep inner belief work and healing. And so again, back to our main topic for tonight is how can healing shame streamline your journey to quit porn? It's this. Now instead of just trying to change by working harder, running a marathon on a broken bone, it's not going to get you very far. It's just going to, make you more defeated. And I know a lot of you have been stuck in that where you haven't healed the shame and you've tried to quit porn. You haven't even really been able to look under the surface. It's not your fault. You haven't been given the tools. You haven't looked under the surface. And so you're just trying to quit porn, just trying to quit porn, just trying to quit porn. And you're ruining your relationship with yourself because you can't do it. Or because you keep giving into it and you're talking bad about yourself to yourself. And so it's just hurting and hurting and hurting and hurting, running a marathon on a broken bone versus healing, which sometimes feels like a little bit slower, or like if you're not only focused on the porn use and you come in the program and we're doing coaching with you and we're not just talking about porn, we're talking about these other wounds, right? That's going to get you a lot further and a lot easier and a lot healthier. Okay. This is from my client James in episode 122. You can hear him say, just working on and coaching through a couple of those beliefs, just doing a couple of those beliefs, the doors opened and the weight of it all dropped very quickly. And I was able to see the results that I want. Again, like if we're just, it's kind of the 80-20 rule too, where 20% of, if we focus on the 20% of most important things, we'll see 80% of the results. And so, yeah, well, let's focus on those 20% of the most important beliefs and things to heal, and you'll see very quick results, see 80% of the results. For my client Tyler, this is working miracles for me, and I don't say that lightly. I find myself wanting porn less and less because I'm learning how to change my thoughts about it. I'm really starting to believe for the first time in my life that I can live porn free. And you can. This doesn't just have to be something you struggle with forever. I was talking to one of my coaches, Jessica, today, who is an amazing coach. You guys are going to love her if you meet her. And she was talking to me about a conversation she had with someone who found out what she did, and they said to her, does it work? But wait, does it really work? Can people really quit porn? And she's like, yes, it works all the time. What do you mean? And she's like, but I understand it because so much of the narrative around it is, sorry, this is just who you are. Sorry, someone's struggling with porn. It's what they're struggling with forever. And that's just not true. It's just not true. All right, you guys. So let me know if you have any questions in here. If you are feeling, my quick invitation for you all tonight, if you're feeling called to explore more professional support with us and with my team, maybe you're struggling with self-acceptance, maybe you're feeling worthlessness, stuck in a cycle of progress and then failure, that, willpower given pendulum. Maybe you're tired of being tired, struggling to put yourself out there and meet people and have dating experiences, if that's what you're working through because of the porn, you feel like the porn is holding you back. If it's creating a rift in your marriage and relationships, maybe you're constantly feeling shameful of your actions and yourself overall. Maybe you're constantly self-sabotaging and can't stop. If you feel powerless to your own mind and ways, if you feel less than because you can't cultivate enough willpower, right? If you feel like there's no way that you can be helped as you've tried everything, all because of porn and the shame that's coming along with it, then I would implore you and love to invite you to book a free consult call with my team to see if we can help. So what is a consult call and can you expect? The purpose of a consult call is to have a supportive and judgment-free conversation designed to understand your unique situation, detect your challenges, explore and identify how the program can help you and overcome your habit in a healthy, guilt and shame-free way. It's our biggest goal is just to create a really safe space for you to explore, what might be good for you. Um, Here's just a few other notes on this. At Center for Overcoming, we care deeply about helping as many people as possible, helping them not only with porn, but to give them the ability to come alive and see themselves as worthy. I tell my clients all this all the time, and you hear me say this in the podcast. This is about so much more than quitting porn. And so we want to give people, as many people as possible, a chance to at the very least learn about other avenues and ventures that they can take into being able to overcome porn. We have so much more to share with you in our full program that can change your life. Um, we go so deep into all of the things, and there's a lot more one-on-one support. And so we'd love for you to give yourself a chance and learn about it, learn about an asset that could possibly change your life forever. You will never know what's out there for you until you try. So if you find that it's not for you, no worries. No one knows what's better for you than you. And so we just want to support you in the ways that you need to be supported. And I'm not going to pressure you into something that doesn't feel aligned for you, but we would love for you just to come and learn more about it. Okay, I'm going to put the link to come and book that in the chat. Let me find it really quick. Okay, I have to answer a question to put this in there. So, oh, how do I do this? All right, it's there. If you look in the Q&A under the answered questions, click on that, and that's how you can book a call to explore and chat with us about how we can help you more professionally. We'd love, love, love to do that. Do you guys see that in the Q&A? Let me know. Will you answer in the Q&A if you can't find it? It's under the answered sections tab. So there's the open questions, which is what I'm reading from, and then there's the answered. Okay, good. Glad you guys can see it. All right, let's take any questions that y'all have. I'm gonna stop sharing and come over here to questions. All right. Question that I'm honestly nervous to ask is what if? What if it is about the porn that feels like I want it and yeah, I'm so glad you're asking this question and want to see that side of the world and explore that sexual world. What if? I know it's not healthy, has horrible consequences, shame, broken relationships. I just wonder if even someone like me can be healed. Yeah, this is such a great question. And so what might be here is like a part of you that just wants to explore your sexuality. Um, and so there's nothing wrong with that. You can explore your sexuality and you can do it in a way that fits your moral compass. And in a way, of course, we're always going to preach, no harm in a way that doesn't hurt other people or harm other people. And so there are ways to do that. And we dive into that pretty in depth in our healthy sexuality milestone in the program, but that's something that you can work through and we can work through with you if you are feeling this way. And I know a lot of people probably are feeling this way. What if it is just the porn and I do want to explore? Then great. Let us help you figure out how to do that in a healthy way that aligns with your values. And if you're like, no, but like it doesn't align with my values, then we can explore all of that and do coaching around that as well. So there's the unwanted porn use, and the unwanted porn use is, what's underneath the surface there for you can be like a confusion. I don't know what's okay to do. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. And if there was like this is right and this is wrong, I would give it to you, but there isn't. There isn't. This is such a more like gray area. And it's not just black and white and black and white and black and white. I have people who come to me and they're like, well, what about masturbation? Like, when is it okay to masturbate and when is it not okay to masturbate? And, when it comes to sexuality and the realm of sexuality, we have to trust ourselves that we will know, what's good and what's full of light and what's not. But let me tell you what's sometimes when people hear that and they think of, so a big thing that we use is, and we teach, is using sexuality for good. Using sexuality for good is not just repression and is not just suppression. Using sexuality for good means a lot of things, which can mean accepting and loving your sexual self and deciding how to explore some of these things in healthy ways that fit you in your life. So there's tons of hope. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions about that, let me know. What questions you have if I wake up in the middle of the night with strong urges, but I'm too tired to process an urge, but I feel like I can't go to sleep without watching porn. Yeah, so this is something that we talk in depth about in the program as well. I have like a bunch of modules on it. So I would let's see, what can I give you here? I'll give you some quick tips, but if you are interested in diving into this more, I would have you go book a consult call to see so we can like really work through this in depth with you. But if you're too tired to process or feel like you can't go to sleep without watching porn, what we recommend, we teach something called online tools and offline tools. And so it's just these moments where you wake up and you're not really there. Um, Golly, there could be a couple of things at play here. So when you're not really there, there's some things that you can do. You can get up and drink a glass of water and just kind of help your body re-regulate. But I would also, look at like how often is this happening? Is it happening a lot? Is it every now and then? How much of this is an issue? How much of this is just something that we need to um, like kind of work through the beliefs about, where it's maybe not as much of an issue, but it just feels like a really big issue. But if it's happening, anyways, there's a bunch of things we could go into there. But my biggest tip for you would be, without talking to you more in depth, get up and move. Get up and move. You're not going to be able to be totally online and think clearly or process through things right when you wake up. So if you can, get up and go get a glass of water, and then you can start, once you're walking, you can start implementing some of those other mindfulness tools. Stop, drop, and breathe. Stop, drop, and breathe. Uh, I hear what you're saying, but I have a hard time understanding how to do things you teach. Yeah, so this is the implementation piece. This is what a lot of people find who listen to me on podcasts, or in videos or in classes. This is like the learning piece. It's like if you want to learn how to snowboard and you start watching YouTube videos on how to snowboard, you're like, okay, I understand. This is how I clip my feet in the bindings and I bend my knees and then I put my heels back a little bit and this is how I get on lift. But like, I don't know how to do it in practice. That's when you got to get on the mountain and start doing the things in practice. And you're going to fall down a lot. You're going to get hurt a lot, but you just keep going, keep going. What is really helpful if you're trying to learn how to snowboard is going to a class and getting a coach who is on the mountain with you going down the hill. And so that is the space of this program. Again, the link to explore and see if it's a good fit for you is there in the answered questions. That's where we get on the mountain with you and go down the hill to implement the worksheets, the milestones process, the coaching calls. There's like so many resources where you can just listen to some audio while you're feeling an urge to practice and put this into practice. Nothing's wrong with you. There's some practice that needs to be happen and some application, and you're going to be okay and you're going to be fine. We can help you with that. All right. One thing I'm struggling with is how to just let an urge be there without acting on it when what's happening is a memory evading, evolving into a fantasy. Not acting just lets the fantasy keeps playing, which I don't want, and which just strengthens the urge. How do I process without saying, go away, go away, go away, go away? Yeah, so this again, it's kind of like if you're learning how to play I'm using another example, but if you're learning how to play the piano, it's like kind of clunky at first and you're like, I don't really know exactly how to play this, and then you practice a lot and then you're really good and the song sounds really beautiful. So it's just going to be practice, 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 and learning more how to do this. So I teach stop, drop, and breathe. So you have this memory that pops into your mind, and instead of, go away, go away, go away, and also instead of like, let me really think about this fantasy and dive into it, you can let it be there and breathe and notice it. So you notice the fantasy, you notice the feeling, breathe, let it be there, and then let it pass. Breathe, let it be there, let it pass. It's this process. If you're into meditation, you don't have to meditate to learn how to do this, but it's allowing, like letting your thoughts come and go and come and go. And sometimes they feel like big waves and they feel overpowering. And you just sit in it and you sit in it and you practice and you sit in the overpoweringness of it. It's helpful to focus on the sensations you're feeling on your body and breathe. Breathe. Okay, there's the thought. I see it. Yes, there it is. And breathe. And then it comes back. There's the fantasy again. Yes, I see it. Okay, and breathe. And then it goes away for a second. And then it comes back and you're practicing these mindful skills. It will get easier, I promise. It will get easier with practice and learning more and continuing to implement. My question is, what does trauma-informed coaching actually mean? I've seen several therapists over the years, and I feel like I haven't met any of them that have this language or expertise. We get a lot of therapists who send their clients to us because it is like a specialty thing, right? So not all therapists are going to know how to handle this issue. And so We aren't therapy, we're coaching, and that allows us to help a lot more people throughout the world, and when I say we're not therapy, like we don't, and I have a whole slide on this that I typically have, but I didn't have it up today, but we're not going to be able, if you have mental health disorders or, OCD or PTSD or, severe depression, typically our clients will like work with a therapist hand in hand with the program because we can't address those big things. But yeah, so what does trauma-informed coaching actually mean? It just means I require all of my coaches to be trauma-informed and have certifications in trauma-informed. What that means is that they know how to help your body through trauma responses. If you have big traumas that have come up and you need to work through and like heal a trauma, we're going to send you to a therapist to do that. But we will be able to help and support you in whatever trauma response that your body is having with this. Porn is not just a mind thing, right? There's a lot of responses, and shame isn't just a mind thing, right? God, golly, I could have talked about shame for like 3 hours tonight, but shame is not just a mind thing, it's also a body thing. And so when I say trauma informed, it's like how to help your body through these responses that are like hurting your nervous system. So when your nervous system is freaking out, how do we help? That's really like a long way of me explaining what trauma informed means. Okay. All right, you guys, any other questions before we end for the night? Thanks so much for being here. I've had such a great time. I'm going to remind you again that a link to book a call to come and work with us more in depth is here in the answered questions. Click that link. We do coaching calls, so you have unlimited access to all the coaching calls once you join. They're different than this. There's lots of teaching, but coaching calls, we're bringing you up on the call and we are like getting to work and coaching through as many people as we can, and you're guaranteed to be able to get to coach, at least once a week, if not more. And so we do coaching. It's a little bit different. It's not like Q&A style. It's like, let's pull you up and talk to you and really get to the root of what's going on. And so those are fun. I have one tomorrow night. So, but I have one often. You see me a lot more in there than you see me here. Okay. So many questions, but thank you for your time tonight. Okay. Thank you, Michael. If you have, if you want to ask them here, I'm here. I'm here for another minute if you'd like. I'm from Venezuela. How can I notice the urges when they arrive? Welcome from Venezuela. So this is right. The urges are noticing them is a skill in itself. So just be patient with yourself. But the more that I'm trying to think where I could send you, or what just simple, quick way I could give you a tool to do this. The more that you're aware of the emotions in your body throughout the day, the more you're going to be aware when you have an urge. And so just practicing stopping and telling yourself when you have an urge. Oh, notice I have an urge. Oh, notice I have an urge. Instead of being disconnected from my body, I'm very connected to my body. What is my body feeling? Oh, there's an urge. Oh, there's an urge. And just practicing, like pointing out to yourself the urges you're having throughout the day. You can start like even with emotions. So, oh, I'm feeling anxious. I have my clients like set an alarm on their phone for once a day or twice a day. And when the alarm goes off, they have to write down what they're feeling. And that helps us gain awareness in our body. And as you practice that, you'll get better at it. All right, I used to really want to stop looking at porn, and I went to great lengths attempting things to try and stop my addiction unsuccessfully. I know I need to stop and I want to stop, but I do feel a lot less motivated and driven to do it because of so many failed attempts. It frustrates me. How can I get that great desire to quit again? I would love for you to come and book a call with us and work with us more professionally on this, because there's going to be a lot of things under the surface. Let me share my screen again so I can show you this picture. It's like, you've tried so many times. Were you here when I was talking about this? It's like you've tried so many times to do it yourself, and it just ended up hurting yourself more. It's like if you're trying to do surgery on yourself with a hand mirror, and then you're nicking all the wrong things and creating a bloody mess. You've tried so many times, and it's not your fault. You just were probably given hard information about it, and it just ruined your relationship with yourself. It just made you feel like you're never going to be able to quit, feel hopeless. And so I would implore you to come and if you're going to come and do this work with us, we're going to change the focus. Where now the focus is not just you're going to quit porn, but the focus is you're going to heal that relationship with yourself. And so, yeah, like it's going to come, the decrease of porn use is going to come, but when you first come in, we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on how can you heal your relationship with you. And once you start doing that, then you'll notice the porn use starts decreasing. Okay. Been counting my urges and up to 22 after a month, tracking to 100. Woohoo! Congrats. Congrats. Okay, I told my girlfriend that I'm letting go of porn. She said if I slip up, we need to break up, as she doesn't want to be with someone who is consuming porn. Is it unrealistic for me to suggest I can quit immediately without personal coaching? I would encourage you to not expect yourself to quit cold turkey. That's going to likely backfire, and what I see often. And so that's going to have to, you're going to have that conversation with your girlfriend. It's going to be a little tricky and a little hard. I will say, if you do come work with us in the program, we have a whole thing dedicated to partners and spouses and girlfriends. And there's even a free call that they can hop on with our relationship specialist to help them think through some of this. And then maybe the conversation you have with her is, maybe help her understand how this can't be done, cold turkey. And so you're not thinking about this as like a one wrong move and everything comes crashing down, but you need to look at this like building a habit and changing a habit. And so if you're going to like build a bunch of muscle, what do you have to do? You have to go to the gym and do hundreds and hundreds of reps. If you're going to, I use the example of Super Mario Bros. Like if you're going to learn the skill and get really good at playing Super Mario Brothers, what do you have to do? You have to fail a bunch of times and die by the turtle shell a bunch of times, but you get back on your feet and you keep trying, you keep trying, and you keep trying, and change this mindset from this is something I have to quit today to this is something that is a process and there's no rush, and I am enough exactly how I am and I can quit, and it's okay if it takes a little bit of time, because there's like a lot of stuff underneath the surface here, even showing, understanding this. Oh, I have to go way back. Go way back. There's a lot under the surface here. Quitting cold turkey isn't likely going to be a long-term solution for you. It's going to create more pain. So anyways, difficult conversation to have. We have some support for you if you'd like. You can hop on a consult call too and see what Jeremy has to say for you if he has any support and help too. That might be helpful. All right, I have been counting 2 urges process. Look forward to getting to 100. Urges have slowed down, maybe 2 to 3 per week. At this rate, it will take a long time to get to 100. That's kind of what I like to hear, right? Sometimes we have clients come in and we're going to have them do that 100 urges processed exercise, but they don't ever get to 100 urges because their urges go away before they get to 100, which is really fun. Do you think Band-Aid solutions like filters could be beneficial if incorporated along with content like yours? Yes. So you can use them as like a little bit of a backup as long as you're practicing, and like the snowboard analogy, if you're on the hill, going down the hill and practicing and doing the work, they can be a little bit of help or be helpful, and the goal would be to eventually get rid of them. Okay? All right, you guys, any last questions? Any last questions? I'll take one more sip of my water, see if there's anything else. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here. Had a great time. Hope to see some of you in our live coaching calls so I can coach you and talk to you one-on-one, and we can really get to work here. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your night. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.